at the end of that time, I had people telling me that they thought they had known me for a year or more. Okay? Think about that. I'd been going for 3-4 months, let's say 4 months. They thought I had been around 3 times longer than that. They had become so familiar with seeing me. Okay? Think about trust, think about, the credibility factor. Hi, this is Jason Kanigan, the president of Sales on Fire. We're going to try something different today. Hopefully it's not too windy out here. So we got this thing here. This is called the exponential growth curve, and this explains in a nice simple picture why people fail at business in the startup phase. And the real reason is, we're having some wind pick up here. This is exactly what I hoped wouldn't happen, but we'll deal with it. The real reason people fail at business is they don't stick with something long enough, and it's because you have the wrong perception of what's really going on here. Now, what's happening is this exponential growth curve here. See, it's a very shallow curve at the start. It takes a long time to get going, and yet you have this linear growth idea that growth is supposed to be, well, I put in 1 unit of effort and therefore I get 1 unit of result, right? Well, the real world doesn't work that way, and it in fact takes a while for you to get in there, get known as the person to talk to about your thing, whatever it is that you do, and maybe even hit the high life, get asked to be on Oprah or something like that. There's usually a catalyst point here where that hockey stick curve really starts to go up sharply. Let's get rid of that. So that explains why it's so hard to start up a business. And when people have the wrong idea and they come into business expecting linear growth and their hopes are tied to this shiny object, like, oh, I'm going to make doodle board videos and that's really going to save my life. No, it's not. After 3 days, you've given up, the energy is burnt out from that idea, and you're on to the next shiny object. Well, you go back to zero of that curve, okay, that exponential growth curve. You go back. I'm going to give you an example of how this can work to your advantage, though. So when I moved here in 2009, I didn't know anybody. Came from Vancouver to Wilmington, North Carolina. I didn't know anybody. And in 2010, I was finally allowed to work, and I went to work for a sales training company. What a shock, I know. And I started going to evening meet and greet events, these networking events, So I went to, say, 3 or 4 a week. I mean, I went to these things relentlessly for like 3-4 months straight. And at the end of that time, I had people telling me that they thought they had known me for a year or more. Okay? Think about that. I'd been going for 3-4 months, let's say 4 months. They thought I had been around 3 times longer than that. They had become so familiar with seeing me. Okay? Think about trust, think about, the credibility factor, right? And that's simply because I moved up that exponential growth curve. So think about ways that you could use the exponential growth curve to your advantage. And really, the short answer is by not giving up. Okay? It probably takes 90 days for you to start getting known as the person to talk to about whatever it is that you do. 90 days. And when you compare that to 3, which is what the average online marketer spends developing their business, yeah, right, is it any surprise that you've struggled until now? The people who do well stick with something. And that's what I encourage you to do. Look at that exponential growth curve again. I'm going to link to my blog post about it in the description below. Check that out as well. This is Jason Kanigan from Sales on Fire telling you to stick with it. Thanks for watching.